Good evening, everybody. This is Cinnamon Noir. Welcome back to Deltarune Chapter 2. Yes, let's get as far away from this statue as is humanly possible. No one needs to see that. In fact, I'm sorry I didn't blur it out using my immense Photoshop skills so that I could spare you from it, but it's too late. You've already seen it and there's no unseeing it. So I actually kind of made a mistake by not going to this place before the next cutscene. Because here I could get some dating shoes. So this is the point when Noelle mentions that she and Chris were childhood friends. And you have the chance to say you're not friends, you're something else. Like enemies. Those two enemies chasing each other is kind of weird to me. It reminds me of the scene from A Link to the Past, where you have the demon guy chasing around the guy who turned into a ball. Just go past this. In fact, never show this part of the game again. So, it's these guys again. This crew. Our favorite crew. One thing I didn't notice while I was first playing this game is that the two other guys all react as if the random things that the other guy is saying are the most amazing, intelligent things ever. Really, I can't get into that, but I guess that's why they're friends. So yes, if we choose to, these guys will play an adorable little Christmas jam for Noelle in her honor. It is a pretty good version of Jingle Bells, although in all fairness I have to say that I have hated most Christmas music for a long time. It is the most overplayed music in the entire world. But I'm going to have to put up with that kind of thing because this entire chapter is mildly Christmas themed. It is very mild, though. I wouldn't even necessarily say that it is an outright explicit theme. It's so tied into Noelle's character, and there's really not other parts of the game that are holiday themed. At least not yet. That may be something that's elaborated in later chapters. It's not nearly as clear as, for instance, the card suits theme, where in addition to having all the stuff in Chapter 1, there's also a queen in Chapter 2. That's pretty incontrovertible. But not holidays. So yes, from this guy you can buy something I really like, which is you can buy Chris tea or Noelle tea. And if you feed it to the different characters, they'll have different attitudes toward it. That actually kind of reminds me of Sideways Stories from Wayside School, where there's one chapter where all the kids eat ice cream that's flavored like the other kids. So of course everyone loves Noelle tea. It's delicious. Except Noelle, because to her it doesn't taste like anything. So yeah, we've fought these guys before. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of these guys either in terms of design or attacks. Their attacks are very simplistic and get boring really quickly. And compared to the other enemies, they also just have a rather uninspired design. I honestly think the covering up of the face, even though it's part of the message of the character, it makes it much harder to be interested in them. I like them a lot better when they're cute and little. Of course, that's true of most things, like dogs, for instance. So we run into these guys again. I attacked them. I got a lot of HP taken away. And then I went back to save in order to heal my health, and I ended up running into them again. Exactly the problem I faced before. Can I get out of this one without the same problem? We'll see. So yeah, one irritating thing about this is that these kinds of enemies tend to start out tired, which means that Ralsei could pacify them. But we don't have Ralsei here with us, so really that's kind of useless. Honestly, if there is one big problem I have with Deltarune, even at this point, I would say that it is the combat. That's kind of a sad thing to say because the combat's a big hook, both for Deltarune and Undertale. But I have to say, I think it's kind of the weakest aspect of this game. So yes, when he says, do you want to buy this, he doesn't mean the clothes, he means the mannequin. And the mannequin is almost completely useless, so basically I just wasted a huge amount of my money. Good for me. You'll notice that there are signs everywhere saying things like buy and look and showing things off. There is a very heavy commercial aspect to this cyber city, which we're going to see a very interesting twist on that pretty soon. If you have seen anything about Deltarune Chapter 2 in pop culture, you probably know what I'm talking about. Noelle really is having trouble taking care of this whole taking care business. She does seem a little clumsy. I love the animation on her hair, though, I have to say. It's a wonderful little animation. Gives her a lot of personality. One interesting thing about Chapter 2 is that the main relationships between Chris, Ralsei, and Susie have all been determined at this point. They're all fairly good friends, and they've moved past a few problems they have with each other. So this chapter finds itself leaning a lot more on the secondary school characters like Noelle and Birdley, which isn't exactly a bad thing, but it's not quite as compelling, in my opinion, as the first chapter, which had some very heavy emotional themes. So yeah, one thing we're finding out very quickly is that just will not work. That's not going to help us. So we're going to have to find another way around. Just like real cities. Here we go. See, so since that one is longer, it allows us to go... Not that it helps. No, the truth is this requires a little bit of lateral thinking. So what you have to do here is realize that you need to go up. And finally, my little chimp brain gets it. It's just like Chapter 1, you can see my brain. It's eventually firing on all cylinders. Now we're cooking. The sprite that Noelle adopts when you do that is very strange. When you go through the cars, for a minute I thought she was actually carrying Frisk. Listen to me. She was carrying Chris. But actually what she's just doing is cringing and holding her head. So this is a little different from the last one. This actually isn't blocks. It is tiles. So maybe when I was confused earlier, that was just because I was having clairvoyant visions of the future. Surely that makes a lot more sense than me just being stupid. One thing I like about this particular puzzle is that because the amount of configurations of these things is fairly limited, it's not really possible to get yourself into a totally hopeless mess. It is fairly easy to eventually figure out which of these combinations of different rotations of these things will work. Doesn't keep me from scaring Noelle anyway. I'm not sure if it's possible to avoid scaring her the first time, since she is right there in the middle of the tile floor. I thought when I was first playing this that maybe Noelle actually has some kind of thing where if you do this too much, if you scare her too much, I mean, it'll actually cause problems. But I didn't notice any, so clearly I didn't do it badly enough at this. I do wonder when Toby Fox calls this the annoying mouse room. Is he saying the mice are annoying, or is he saying his puzzles are annoying? Because he's probably right on both counts, but I'm just curious which one he meant. Honestly, I do find fictional mice very annoying, especially the cartoon mice in Cinderella. It's always been something I dislike about that movie. So once again, I'm taking a very long time to figure this out. But eventually I do realize that in this configuration, they'll be forced to go that way. I end up getting them stuck in what would be a permanent loop, except that they eventually do disappear. I think it would be funny if Toby Fox had, come up with something where they would comment on the fact that they were perennially going back and forth. But that's probably too much to expect. Let's see here. Have anything to do with that switch? Whoops. Yes. We're leveraging her fear for the greater good. So this is a tough choice. Do you touch the cheese or not? I eventually decide not to touch the cheese. Because who would do anything so disgusting? Either way, you do end up in a fight with these enemies eventually. I'm a fan of their design, it's pretty cute, but at the same time, the way that you get these guys to be spared is awful. I'm also not a big fan of their attack, which would be okay except that it involves this giant mouse cursor chasing you around, which is irritating. The other thing I find odd is that I don't find that Trap All actually is substantially more helpful than Trapping One, especially since it's hard to keep track of them. This is one thing I'm particularly bad at in this game. So naturally, I'll be trying to avoid mouse fights as much as possible. There we go. The process is a little bit forgiving. So for instance, if you catch them right on the edge, they won't slip out, you'll still be able to capture them. And, oh dear, I am really screwing up here, and Noelle is almost dead. Luckily though, we can spare them both now, which means the battle is at least over. And all the cheese is gone. Perhaps this was all just a distraction. Those clever mice. So we use up a CD bagel, we get a CD bagel. One thing I will say about this chapter is it made me use healing items a lot more, which I actually kind of like. It finally does that sort of the thing that RPGs do, where they give you some tension with the healing items. The first chapter I noticed didn't really do that very much. Well, it seems we saved her by getting her off of the platform before it fell. Pretty clever. And now we need to do it again. So yes, Birdly will come and interrupt, and it would be very easy for you to forget at this point that the clock is still ticking. In fact, you can see now, it's shaking. Noelle is still in danger of falling here. So you can't let Birdly distract you. You need to keep going and keep knocking her onto other platforms. Which means it is an active game mechanic in this to not pay attention to Birdly. That's how awful he is. It's literally, the point of the game is to ignore him. So one thing I kind of didn't realize at first when I was playing this was that all of the things in the bottom are right turning. Which means they won't just crash into the wall if you let them. They will, at that point, hit Noelle. Which is convenient. In fact, if I'd seen it earlier, this would have been less difficult. See, at first I thought this was going to say, I love Noelle. But actually, no, it's not. What it says is, I love Mouse. Really, though, who doesn't love Mouse? I mean, give it up for Mouse. So Birdly is seriously annoyed because we were smart enough to solve this puzzle while pretending to care about what he was saying, which is both emotional and literal intelligence. I have no idea, by the way, what happens if you fail this puzzle. It's not that complicated, but I imagine they don't actually let Noelle die. Kind of the throw yourself into the pool school of swimming. Except for fears. Incidentally, psychologists do not recommend this as a way to get over phobias. Generally, gradual exposure is the way to go. So yeah, there's a lot of trash cans around here, and they mostly contain money, but I'm pretty sure that's just a trap in order to get you into this battle. I have no idea, by the way, what the pop-up is supposed to be. It might be a porpoise of some kind. The mouth certainly looks like that. But I have no idea what the porpoise of that is. So yeah, the appearance of the mouse attack is actually pretty neat. I like the old Windows style look of it. But at the same time, I don't like the attack. This place looks a little suspicious. Oh, it's just like a soap opera. God, everybody's just trucing with each other at this point. The truce juice. So this guy thinks we have a double truce, whereas in fact we're so beyond that. Birdley's imagination is so limited. So for once it seems like Birdley perhaps is having an emotional breakthrough. But no, he's not. So in fact, we have another battle with Birdley. Only this one's a little different. We're not just going to bump into him. We need to play it a little smarter this time. Quite literally, actually. We need to either, in the case of Noelle, act smart, since that's what Birdley expects of her. And in Chris's case, we need to live up to his poor image of us and act stupid so that he'll feel superior. One thing about this fight I will say, his attacks get a lot harder. This is much harder than when we were on those little roller coasters. And I'm going to have a lot more trouble with healing. Another thing is that we don't have Ralsei. There's really no character in our party at this point who's good at healing. So yeah, this attack is easy to get TP from, but rather hard to dodge, I must say. I have no idea what that particular message is supposed to mean. Smells like frozen chicken. Perhaps this is trying to goad you into using the freezing attack on Birdley, but that would really be an awful idea. And yeah, now we see something that I've actually never seen in this game before, which is a boss character whose ability is to summon lesser enemy characters. So yeah, Birdley thinks he has friends, but really those are just people who are forced to hang out with him. And he doesn't know the difference. Oh, actually, I've forgotten. Noelle does have Heal Prayer. She also has the ability to get rid of enemies who are pacified. So in fact, she is just like Ralsei. Which raises the question, why do we need Ralsei at all? Noelle's just a better character. Noelle for Smash. So I'm just using up all kinds of healing items here. But it's for a good cause. So, Birdley doesn't think he needs to summon more guys, because the original ones are totally coming back. Which they're absolutely not. They're going to our fun palace. Lancer's there. I mean, who wouldn't want to hang out with Lancer if they had the chance? So yeah, one interesting thing about this battle is that you actually get more out of having each individual character do the flattering abilities than by using both of them at once. Another little thing that kind of indicates to you that it might be better for you to do it separately. So Chris at this point had negative HP. This works sort of like Earthbound, where the character will eventually be out of battle unless you heal them before that can happen. That just said Birdley crushed his smart scooter, but I didn't see that on screen. Shameful. How can they possibly cheap out so much in animation in this game? They should have animated a bird scooter just for him to break it. But no, in some ways, actually, both Undertale and Deltarune have kind of a text-adventure sentiment to them, where there's a lot of things that are just literally said to you instead of demonstrated on screen. Some people would say that's not very good cinematic technique, but what do they know? Undertale was a bestseller. So yes, we actually managed to get Birdley to a point where we get mercy on him before I used up another healing item. So good for me. Oh. Truly a hero for the ages, Birdley. So he pulls that Pokemon rival trick of basically calling us out for being weak after we've beaten him. Fantastic technique. I don't know what chicken nuggets have to do with Birdly. I mean, he is a bit of a chicken. But I'm not seeing a nugget around here anyway. I'm not even seeing a nubbard. Chicken nubbard. So yeah, here we have a huge traffic jam. And the queen again. Queen, that doesn't work on people. Oh My Circuits. That reminds me of All My Circuits from Futurama. Well, I mean, at least that would actually work as a gift for the queen. Oh, for a minute I thought she was getting deep. Who is your friend? That's a difficult question to answer. But no, she just means Noelle, who she can't recognize. Yes, she has a cool robot face. The kind you might want to turn someone's face into, if you had to, but you don't, because she already has one. So, I'm not going to do anything she says. She says, don't hit the cars, I hit one. She says, hit all the cars. I'm not going to hit all the cars. Why should I do that? I'm not going to do a car genocide run. Another little boy! Well, I don't want to do what she says, but I do love bananas. They're full of potassium. And they're full of potential, too. And the game doesn't tell you, but you can press left in order to slow down. Oh, this doesn't seem too difficult. Theoretically, we could just walk on top of the cars, but no, instead we have to go down a seedy back alley. No pun intended, CD. So yes, Noelle doesn't want to be in the car with the queen any longer than she has to, even wearing her fantastic disguise. So, let's hurry, and definitely not screw around doing pointless crap. Here we go. She's shilling some kind of cleanser? Oh. Well, hello there. Yes, it's Spamton. So, you've probably heard of this character. He was all over the internet when this game came out. Still is, to a certain extent. And I will say, he's kind of my favorite character in this chapter. For one thing, he has a fantastic theme song. You'll notice that he puts lots of things in double brackets, which is kind of an implication that his words are being replaced by other words. Spamton is effectively a representation of some creepy, seedy online salesman or something like that. A lot of people pointed out he's one of the few characters to legitimately scare Chris. Chris steps back when he punches the trash can. This is $4.99 horrible. So yeah, Spamton recommends you should be a big shot. And the best way to be a big shot, of course, is to take all of his deals. He has so many deals. Make things larger. I like the idea that when he says hyperlink blocked, he's actually trying to upload a virus to Chris and it doesn't work. Of course, there's another interpretation of what hyperlink blocked is, which I'm not going to get into because it's probably already apparent to you. He also mentions a heart-shaped object and says that Chris is a lightener, which is interesting. It gives the implication that he's more self-aware than most of the characters in this story. He actually seems to know who Chris is and that Chris has a heart. So the description of Spamton says that he offers you deals, but you should never pay him any money. Don't let him take your money, which is true. In fact, that is how you win this battle. You have to make deals, but never spend any money. So yes, if you tell him you're not interested, then he'll just complain. He also wants your kromer, which is his name for money. Perhaps it's related to krona, which is Swedish money. Hard to say. Everything about Spamton is a little hard to figure out. The only thing I do know is that now is your chance to be a big shot. There's been a lot of speculation as to what this voice clip is. Some people have said that it's Toby Fox. I think that's unlikely. I've heard Toby Fox talk and it doesn't sound like him. It's probably something that he's sampled from an old commercial or something like that. On the other hand, there's not a lot of people who have said the exact line, "Now's your chance to be a big shot." So he might have had to have it specially recorded. So one nice thing about this battle is that you can do heal deals. Which means that you can heal yourself and progress in the fight. Another interesting thing that Spamton says is that he says he wasn't in this for the money, which is an interesting implication. He actually probably wasn't in this for the money. What he suggests is that what he wanted was recognition. He wanted pride. He also says he wanted freedom. He wanted to make his own shots. He wanted to do his own deals. And he wanted hyperlink blocked, which I think everybody wants. Don't you want to grow up to be just like me? So yeah, honestly, the thing that gets old about Spamton fastest is his attacks, which is weird, because usually attacks are the best thing about an enemy. But I would say with Spamton, his whole personality is just way better than his attacks. Spamton's big head is a little creepy, like all the rest of him. It's something people have talked about a lot. Sorry, dude, I already spent way too much money on that mannequin. I can't afford that much wacky cash. So, Spamton, of course, you can fight him like normal. Some people might be inclined to do that, just to get rid of him. But the only way to get mercy on him is to do his deals. Oh, no, never give him your account. This is basically a way to teach small children about internet information safety. The final deal. Deal or no deal? Well, I've called the bank and they say yes. I wonder what we just agreed to. I'm sure it's not important. So yes, ashamed as I am to say it, I never ended up seeing Spamton's store. I didn't end up going there in this playthrough. I will say this was never intended to be 100% playthrough. If you like Spamton, you should play the game yourself, because it's awesome. And until then, have a good night, everybody. I'll see you next time.